Hello, Ben.
Hey Bill, how's it going?
It's going good, man. How you doing today?
Pretty good. How are you?
Hey, man, I have no complaints. Beautiful sunny Fort Lauderdale in the winter time. I mean, how much better can it get?
There you go. What's the temp there?
I think right now it's a little on the cool side. We're looking at 72.
All right. Well, it's 60 here, so a little warmer than here.
Hey, it's all good, man. So, to remind everyone, today we're talking with Ben Carrey, bassist for Pigeons playing ping pong. And they're going to be coming next week to the Culture Room here in Fort Lauderdale. And man, you guys are just a blast to see. If anyone has never seen Pigeons playing ping pong live, you are definitely in for a treat, man. Because you guys are like the ultimate jam band.
Oh man, we pride ourselves on the live performance and staging energy with the crowd, and putting on a show and getting one back from y'all.
Heard that. Now, I'm going to kind of go from the beginning when you were a kid. Like, what was your first introduction to music, and like, who were some of the bands or artists that had inspired you at the time?
Well, my first real introduction to music was piano with Gloria, my piano teacher,
Hmm.
and she really encouraged. I was about 8 years old. I think I played for 4 years, and she encouraged sort of a love of music, which was a great start
Sure.
for any kid. Taught me a few from the Suzuki method, a few songs, working on two-hand method, and really just exploring that. And I learned to hear how songs would go and figure out. I basically figured out how to play them, and then would just play them from memory. So I learned how to read music, but it was much more about the feel and the vibe, which I think carries through to this day for me. Then when I was 16 at my friend's birthday party, he got a new bass, and I remember seeing it, being like, "Whoa, that is cool. What is that?" I felt immediately drawn to it, and he taught me a song on there, and I spent most of his birthday playing his bass. And a couple months later, I had my own bass and was taking lessons from his teacher, Dave DeMarco, who's an incredible bass player from Maryland, bass teacher. He's well known in the area. He now plays for this band from Maryland called Crack the Sky.
Hmm.
Um, and around that time, that same friend, Owen Hill, got me into the Red Hot Chili Peppers. So Flea was a pretty foundational aspect of my playing, and kind of hearing how he melodically and rhythmically connected the band was a big part of how I approach music to this day.
Now, Pigeon's last album, Perspective, came out in 2022. Freaking amazing album. So, if
Oh,
anyone
thanks,
out
man.
there has not listened to it, you got to check this out. You really do. Now, when you guys get together to write, I mean, what is the process for you as a band? Does it kind of start as ideas on paper? Does it manifest directly, maybe from the instrument in the form of a jam, or maybe derived from a guitar lick or a groove?
It really it depends on the song.
Hmm.
Let's see. For perspective, there were a few like "Lost in Line" was more put together by Jeremy, and then Greg added the vocals, and then me and Gator brought our pieces to the table. So it's usually an open skeleton, I would say, that we all flesh out together as a band.
Sure.
Over the years, it's become a lot more um, of a group think kind of dynamic. We just debuted a song at the Capitol Theater last Saturday called "Feet on the Ground," and that just was a lot of time spent together as a group, taking a groove we had just sort of jammed with and working it out, trying different ideas, honing in individual parts, figuring out backup vocals. But it sort of evolved naturally over the course of practice.
Hmm.
I'd say over the years, we would really let our songs develop live and see what works with the crowd. And now that we sort of have a better feel for what works and what doesn't, we can develop that with just the four of us ourselves.
Hmm.
And then when we put the songs into the studio for the studio treatment, our mixing engineer, who really almost acts like a producer ear, he gives us a lot of pointers and ideas and kind of guides us in the right direction. And I've actually honed in my bass playing working with him. Um, but we sort of lock in certain parts and certain grooves and feels, trying to maintain the feel of a live show while creating a studio experience. And that's something we've developed over the years to, just like we've spent a lot of time touring, playing music, we're doing I think 200 shows a year at one point. We have developed that voice, and now that we've done a few studio albums, we're developing that voice as well. We have our next studio album coming out in April, so for those who have listened to Perspective and are ready for more, we have 2 new singles out, 2 or 3, and we are excited about releasing that, which we recorded a while ago. One of the songs from that album is Overtime, and that one was almost completely written as a jam in practice. We were just jamming around, and we kind of had these chords we put together, and then Greg started singing, about putting in the overtime, putting in the work. We practice usually at least, 2 times a week when we're home from tour, and are constantly grinding out new songs and, pursuing our passion. But that one was mostly complete. I remember listening to it afterwards and, emailing around to the guys a little while later saying, hey, this is pretty much already a song. And not too long after that, we were able to lay it down for the album. And so that's how that one goes. But I will also add that we were grateful to use some of the bad aspects of the pandemic to develop our songwriting. We used a program that allowed us to share song ideas virtually that we still use to this day. And so we were able to kind of flesh out each other's ideas at home rather than needing to be in the same space. And that has really allowed us to develop our ideas both independently and together. So that was a great benefit to our songwriting process.
Sure. Now, for those listening that have no idea what a day in the life of a touring band is like, can you tell us from when you wake up in the morning to when you walk off the stage after a show, what your typical day is like?
Sure. Yeah. When we wake up, I usually get up a little before load-in. We have access to the venue. Generally, when we're on longer tours, we're doing a tour bus. But for example, this past weekend, we were just doing a couple shows a few hours from home. So we took our trusty old band that we've had for a few years now. So in those cases, get up a little earlier to make it to the venue. But when we're doing the tour bus thing, get up around 11:30, make some coffee or tea. Sometimes I'll stretch or do a little bit of working out, maybe in the venue, maybe on the bus. And then the crew loads in, and we get inside. And I know Greg, for example, he has a very strict schedule where he goes in pretty much right away, starts practicing, running scales, using a metronome. I've tried to follow that example and pick up my bass as soon as we get inside and just start jamming around. And then after the lights get set up, we're able to set up our equipment, probably a couple hours before sound check. Set our stuff up, make sure it's all working. Then you can have a little bit of lunch or just kind of snack out in the green room where we get nuts, we have fruit, we have cheese. Cheese is a big thing in our band. And then we run over some things before sound check individually that we're going to be doing that night, or some new songs we're working on. Then we get to sound check. That's about 2 hours long. And we work again as a group, working on either new songs or covers that we want to rehash to run over for that night. Obviously check our sound as well, and kind of jam out. There's a lot of sound checks where we just have open jams like we do at practice. Practice is a little more stretched out. We had a kind of a 55-minute jam where we were just kind of exploring territory to start practice the other day. But we can get into some 10, 20-minute jams at sound check, just kind of feel everything out and get into the groove. Then sound check's done, and these days we've had the great blessing to be able to do VIP meet and greets, which has really connected us to the fans and reminds us why we do what we do. The other day there was a proposal at the Capitol Theater.
Oh, wow.
She said yes. Yeah, that was amazing. And then the day before, there was a gender reveal, so we got to let them know what their child will, be going forward, and as they get ready to introduce another flocker into the world. So that happens a little bit after sound check. Then we have dinner, usually about 3 hours before the show. And then there's a little bit of chill time, kind of hang out. Gator brought a Bop It Extreme the other day to Richmond, so I was trying to get his high score, doing that, and just kind of connect with the crew. And then after a little bit of that, we start, again, rehearsing individually or as a group, making sure we're fully locked in with the songs that we need to do, warming up vocals, and then we do one last group rehearsal. Greg has been steaming out all his clothes, so I've been able to use his Stanley steamer, we call it Stanley, to get our clothes all looking fresh. And then we kind of get ready, get hyped up. I like to do a little bit of breathing before, connect with the group that way. And then it's showtime. We get on stage, come out, crowd is all excited, gets us pumped up. We put all our energy out there for 75 minutes, and we take a little bit of a set break, discuss whatever we need for second set, make sure our transitions are on point, and then come out, lock it in for a little while longer. And after we're done the encore, oftentimes a few of us will go out and say hi to the fans at the merch table, or just, maybe we have a couple friends. We have friends we've met over the years all over the country, and kind of say hey and connect that way. And then we will pack up our stuff, make sure stage is clear. Me and Greg both take showers after the shows, kind of like cleanse off and make sure we're ready for a nice evening nap. And then oftentimes we'll have a little bit of late night food. Sometimes it's pizza, sometimes wings. I've learned to limit myself to one piece of pizza, and then I had one piece of cake for our sold-out show at the Capitol Theater. They gave us a nice chocolate cake. And then going back to Richmond, I did end up beating Gator's high score. I got 56, I believe, on Bop It Extreme. That was very exciting. Have a few friends maybe hang out, or my wife was at that show as well. We kind of had a little bit of a hang on our second night of Richmond. And then just kind of get ready for bed, maybe read a little bit, maybe watch an episode of the show. Maybe a few of the guys in the back lounge are putting on, some kind of funny show. I Think You Could Leave, or we've also done we put on a kung fu movie and then a random kind of Spotify playlist that's sort of like groovy, and see if they link up, and oftentimes they do. And then, go to sleep, get those at least 8 hours. Sometimes can get a little more, sometimes a little less, depending on the timing of everything, and wake up and do it all over again.
Yeah, it's like a 14 or 16-hour day for you guys.
Yeah, the thing about being on the road is it's a 24-hour work day.
Yeah.
When you're not, I've built in a little bit of time for downtime and relaxation. Sometimes get up in the morning and got a journal or something, hang out. I can read in the mornings too, go for a walk, get some coffee somewhere before we have to fully load in. But you're sort of always thinking about the show and working towards the show, and afterwards winding down and getting ready to get the rest you need. And obviously, as we've gotten into the groove more and gotten a little bit older and more mature, sure, we don't have as much energy to stay up later, or we just need more time to sort of refresh. And it's we put all of it out there for the shows, and it's sort of always primed towards making the music better, or preparing ourselves to hit it that night.
Mm. Now, getting away from music, you and your wife have a small farm in Maryland. I know it's winter time, but when applicable, what kind of crops are you producing, and what is the satisfaction you get out of running a farm?
Well, actually, we were living on that farm Cece was working as one of the farm managers, but when we found out that she was pregnant, we realized that we wanted to be closer to my family. And since we were just living on the farm, when we were there, Cece was growing all sorts of veggie crops. She was running the farmer's market. In the springtime, there's more. Well, I just remember in the winter, it's more of the brassicas. And she would know a lot more than me. The broccoli, the kale. But it's very satisfying to be connected with the earth. There were cows in the pasture behind us, and it's nice and open. You really see the sun rise and set every day. We were sort of up on a little bit of a hill, but we were fortunate enough to find a place of our own, just about a 5-10 minute walk from my parents, and similarly from my brother and his 2 kids. And now we're growing sort of the most fulfilling crop of all, our daughter, who just turned a year old. And when we moved in here, Cece used the raised beds to start growing similar crops that we had been in tomatoes, kale, but on a much smaller scale and more for just our own enjoyment, which is it's a lot less pressure, it's a lot less industrial, or not industrial, but larger scale.
Sure.
But the experience she gained from that really carries through in her nurturing spirit, and inspires me to nurture the music and my own life and our family's life.
And it's got to be kind of pretty zen to get off the hectic rigors of touring and going home and doing that as well.
Yeah, it really can. It's a dichotomy. Like I said, it's sort of 24/7 on the road, and when you get home, there's practice, there's figuring things out for next tour, and making sure your equipment's all handled, and then practicing. But it's a much slower pace. I'm able to be home with our daughter Tuesdays and Thursdays while my wife's at work, and just kind of spend time with her, do different things, and it's a nice kind of yin and yang where you get to put it all out there and work hard to support the family, and then just really be present when you're home.
That's it. Nothing more to that, baby. And Ben, I just want to thank you again so much for taking time out of your schedule to talk with rockbandreviews.com today. And let's remind everyone that Pigeons Playing Ping Pong will be at the Culture Room here in Fort Lauderdale, February 18th. Tickets are available through Ticketmaster and directly through the Culture Room box office. And man, if you guys have never come out to see Pigeons, man, I urge you to go out and check them out. You will have definitely the time of your life.
It's an experience like none other, and we're proud to be part of that experience.
Great. Now, last time you guys were in town, you guys signed a guitar that we provided, and we did a giveaway to one of your fans. Would you guys be willing to do that again?
Oh, absolutely. We would love to be part of that.
All right, awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing you guys next week. Safe travels on the road, and yeah, keep on keeping on, man.
Thanks. We love the Culture Room. We love the vibe you guys put out. It's always great to come to Florida, and Fort Lauderdale is one of our highlights of the tour in Florida. So we're looking forward to it.
Don't forget to hit the beach, man.
Absolutely. We'll have a day off going to Fort Walton.
Awesome, man. All right, man. Well, we'll see you then, buddy.
All right. Thanks, Bill. See you on the 18th.
Sounds good, bud. Later.
Later. Bye.
Bye.